Well, we have.
We've got 4
me,
present, and we've got
Driscoll,
2 on Zoom, and
Conover,
good Franklin for the day. or-
Frazier.
Oh, we're cool.
Yeah.
I see
Thomas
it.
still here?
I think his items are there still.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Here and Seaver. All right, so no,
See,
we're-
I'm here, Supervisor Stroud. Thank you for calling me out by my last name. I'm here.
I recognize that. Okay. Okay, good. Let's call the Legislative Rules and Governmental Operations Committee meeting in order. And it's May 24th, 2022. Time is 1:57 PM. And approval of the minutes. The minutes came out, I think it was yesterday. Move made to approve the minutes for consideration to approve the minutes by Supervisor Conover, seconded by Supervisor Driscoll. Any comments on the minutes as proposed? Hearing none, seeing none. Those who are in favor of the minutes as proposed, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, any nays? All right, passes. We basically have one item before us today. The other items are postponed till next month. And the item before us today, because it has to be done, is a situation with our Board of Elections. And Bill and Beth are both here. Our commissioners, Bill and our Commissioner Beth, are both here and would like to talk to you about some of the issues they're facing and some of the solutions they need our approval for. Okay, so Bill or Beth?
Well, thank you. Most of you, I'm sure everybody got their packet already, and we tried to do the best we could on comparison costs with the NTS system. One of our problems with the NTS system is we've been promised an update for a couple years now, and we haven't really seen the update and getting it up to speed. In today's day and age, as we all know, now with our second primary being added to us in August, our software and paperwork have got to come up to date and be up to date. We supplied you with the comparison. You've got the maintenance and support agreement from NTS, and then we supplied you with a new company by the name of Hart. One of the pluses with the Hart company that we like, and Beth by all means, if I'm not, is one of the people that are one of the big people in the company is a past commissioner from the Board of Elections. And she knows what we need as a Board of Elections for software. I'll let Beth take over as far as the software.
So in the past, it's only been one registration company that's been certified by New York State. So we're beginning to get some choices. And we've been looking at, actually it's Nextvote, now Hart, with Nextvote under the Hart company that has been certified. And we've been, I guess 3 times we have seen them and we're very impressed. It's a web-based program versus on-premise. It's cloud backup. And it's always updated, always updated and backed. So we like that. And like I said, the NTS also has to be certified by the end of the month or end of the year with all these upgrades. And we haven't seen too much movement yet with everything. It is taking a lot of time. And like when we saw Nextvote, they just seemed to know, like Bill said, the commissioner, a former commissioner from Madison County is there and really kind of directing them from the commissioners and the BOE's point of view of what is needed and where we want to be. And we just, we really like it. And I think it would be really good for us. Financially, we could actually sign a contract with them and they would put us into like a sandbox and would not start billing us until we are up and running, and it should be 3 months, 6 to 3 or 3 to 6 months before that would happen. Bill did put together what the cost would be.
If you look at, I'm sorry, if you look at page 3 on the old, on the packet that's got maintenance and support agreement on it, you'll see right now we're currently paying, we have been since 2020. We pay $49,450 a year for that NTS contract. And if you look at the heart part that we put in there with the red highlights on it, you'll see the difference in the payment. One thing that we need to put right up front is the initial migration, data migration, testing and training system is a lump sum of $23,624.65. That is the money that we are going to have to put up front, but the first payment won't be due until after January of 2023. It won't be due this year. And as you'll see, as you go through that 5-year contract with the Heart Interactive, the price reduces by anywhere from $6,000 down to $753 in the last year, but increases in the 2027 year. The NTS contract, you can see, only goes through the 2023 year at $49,450, and we would highly suspect that we're going to see an increase in theirs as well when it comes down to it. We don't know what it is, but again, looking at the NTS contract, we had spoken to the county attorney's office. They do have on page 4 on there, you're going to see a termination clause. And this agreement may be terminated by either party giving 30 days written notice of their intent to the other party. So we do have the opt-out clause in there for the year of 2023, which is where we would pick up next vote for 2023. So.
Okay, so in summary, we're not happy with that DS voting registration system. Heart next vote looks more promising, and you have people reinforcing that through who have already used it. And the price is pretty comparable, considering there's probably likely cost in the other one, but it's a 5-year program for $258. The other one was costing us about $50 anyways, without the price increases that we don't know about. But, you know, the Board of Elections from Beth and Bill, from what I'm hearing, just not interested. Let's go with the better improved system about the same price. All right, before we go to a motion, are there any questions of Beth and Bill? Yes, Supervisor Conover.
Yeah, I know you've done your homework. Just quickly, the counties that utilize this company. Just a few.
Other counties that are, right now, there are 2 in pilot programs. And I believe there are 3 that have signed on. And the earlier they sign on, they would, get you up and running. Like right now, if we said, yes, we can start with them, they would actually start working with our data now and try to get it, everything clean and ready to go to make that migration into the new system. And then NTS would work with us going that way as well. So just making the data that we have now clean for it to roll over into the new system.
And we'll go through a migration transitional period where they will train us in office, on site and off site. And until we pass a test that they're going to supply us as far as commissioners and deputies, until we pass that test to their satisfaction that we know what we're doing with this system, that they are not going to let us
Go
basically
live.
go live. So it's quite a training process.
They're sort of running parallel tracks, if you will.
Yes.
Okay, I
Yes.
just want to make sure I'm clear. It was very important, the reliability and
Yes.
which I know is paramount to you as
Huge.
well, to make sure that there are as few as possible hiccups, especially on election day.
Yes.
Or primary
Correct.
day, right,
And just
for everyone.
Moving
But
forward, I mean,
you'll be
just,
running parallel tracks here.
Yes.
and- Okay, good.
yes.
Thank you.
There's we'll mention this, with NTS, we did have election night reporting in that. So with Hart, we would not have that piece in there. This year, the state BOE is actually trying to do a program, because we have so many systems now that aren't marrying the results. So they are actually getting a vendor to do that for us for this year moving forward. So we're hoping that vendor will take over that part of that for us. Of course, the first year will be on the state, but we're assuming the prior years will be on us for election night reporting, which is another important piece. Is because absentees now are going to be reported on election night along with election day and early voting results. So that's where the marrying of the 2 results need to happen on election night.
other discussions from, yes,
Thank you, Chairman. I mean, I concur with you and the gentleman from Bolton. We live in a time where it's not just imperative, it's necessary. I mean, that things run right, that you have the confidence in it, that the general public has the confidence in, you know, their ability to kind of go in and cast their vote, and it's going to be on the up and up. And whether or not we pay a few bucks more or a few dollars less, or it's comparable like this package is, that has to be really in my opinion, the number one thing that we look at. The confidence in the company and their ability to come in and do the upgrades and all those types of things in a timely and efficient manner. So
And that's our thought as well. I mean, it's going to upgrade the system where the system we feel should have been upgraded a couple years ago. It's going to upgrade the system where we need to be now. And this is the quickest and the best way to do it. And it's going to be a much easier process for us.
Supervisor Conover and then
Yeah, I mean-
Supervisor McGowan.
I mean, it's foundation for our democracy, right? This has to be correct. And people don't always understand the difference between unofficial results and official results. Very difficult. You see, you're shaking your head, yes, it's very difficult to explain to people. I mean, you can only put it in data when you get the data. And it's only as good as the accuracy of what I'm talking unofficial now. And they don't understand absentee voting. They don't, you know, they don't understand why when the polls closed an hour ago, how come I don't see the result? So it's very important that what we do have be accurate and as timely as possible.
The registration last year, the new registration, Beth, probably you've got the numbers better than I do as far as how many new registrations in 2020 into 2021 of people that we registered to vote. The interest at peak. That's where this is going to come into the big time, is registering people in the proper category and in the right affiliations and everything. That's where this comes in.
And just the whole, there's a, management system there for our inventory, which is important, our polling places, our inspectors, it's all those pieces that are in the new system that aren't in the old system. We are running, we have a common folder. It has, 20 folders in there for all those separate pieces, where this HART program will have all that in one program. We don't have to have separate mail merge files and separate file for our poll workers. And so that's huge, just having one system that will have the political calendar from as soon as it's released until certifying the election. It will be all in one system.
Okay. Brett, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. I have to say, I've been following along with BOE for a while there. As you know, and I've been down in the basement in the folds, and the technology's come a long ways. I still believe in the old, if we could just modify the results from the old trigger machines there, because I think they were the safest. But I remember when the electronics were coming in, it was a big thing, and looking into it. My main concern was really the algorithms. Somebody wouldn't see that when you're designing the program, to just put a little, change a 0 and a 1, and it can change the whole result. I'm still not fully satisfied with that, but then technology has come a long ways since our first contract. So my main concern, I'm happy that we found someone else that can, bring some more in. I just want to make sure, I know we had a contract with them, and you did mention that we have that clause to get out on the last year. So I just don't want to get penalized. And do they know this is coming?
NTS is aware that there's many counties in New York State that are looking at a different system and a new system. To sit here and say absolutely 100% NTS knows it's coming. NTS is currently working with this HART company with the 5 or 6 other counties right now to marry this migration period. We, of course, have not said to NTS directly that we're leaving. That's all there is to it. I don't think that would be a good move on our part at this point in time, especially right now, since our redistricting maps were supposed to be out last Friday, and they actually came out Saturday when Beth and I got each other on the phone. Saturday said the redistricting maps are out. Now we've got to change the 47th Senate district back to the 45th. We've got to change the 21st congressional district back to the 21st and get us out of the 20th. And this is all systems that NTS is working with us on right now, but it's been a chore. And when Beth and I left today to come over to this meeting, the little bubble on the computer was still turning, trying to get Glens Falls redistrict in time for the, so, you know, this is stuff that this new company, Hart, is more up to date with if they're going to, but there's gonna come a point that we're going to tell NTS that, you know, we're starting a
And
we're doing a migration with Hart.
I mean, we've been happy with NTS, but again, that was our only choice, so.
That, I was gonna say, that was our only choice.
That was our
Yes,
only
it was.
choice.
So,
Yes, it was.
you know, competition is always good, and this is a reason why, and, you know, it's really not the savings is always nice to see. I mean, hey, you know, 14 grand's 14 grand, and that can help us out, but, as long as you're comfortable, but the technology has come forward, and that's what we need, so, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And just with now with,
Supervisor.
we're running 2 elections, and it would be lovely to have, you know, something that's all integrated with those 2 different dates simultaneously.
Oh, and the cost of those 2 elections is a conversation that's
That's
forthcoming.
coming up next.
Supervisor Leggett.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm having a hard time hearing everybody from the boardroom, so I might have missed this information. For the cost of this service, what's the net difference going to be? And does this work with your poll books and our voting machines? Everything is copacetic there?
The only thing I'll answer that latter question. The only, this integrates with our e-poll books, and yes, it has nothing to do with the machines.
Okay.
And then as far as the cost difference, overall, it's hard to tell, Supervisor Leggett, only because this contract with NTS expires in January 15th of 2023. We paid them $49,450 every year since 2020 in this contract.
Yeah.
And if you've got the paperwork we sent with the Hart Interactive, you'll see there's a savings all the way down until the 2027 year, when the price increases slightly to $50,644. So it's very compatible, if not a little less than what our current contract with NTS is, but it's hard to say what the future after 2023 would bring from NTS.
Okay, so I'm reading that chart. The first column is the NTS, and the second column is the Hart.
Okay,
Is that what it is?
if you go to page 3 on the NTS, it's highlighted in yellow,
And the Hart thing.
Page 3.
NTS contract.
Oh, I don't. Oh, gotcha. Sorry.
No problem, that's fine. And then if you
I
compare
thought
that.
that was for
with
the new one.
Hart,
Okay,
right, if you compare
Gotcha.
that with the Hart, okay,
I'm clear now. Thank you for
no
that.
problem, okay.
Okay, anybody else on Zoom? But a motion made by Supervisor Conover to approve ending the contract with NTS voter registration system and contracting with Art Next voter registration system and the 5-year contract that's attached. Seconded by Supervisor McDevitt. Any further questions, thoughts? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Motion passes. Next, discussion items, talking about the newly required early voting location in Glens Falls City Hall for the June primary and possibly the August primary. and an additional primary due to redistricting maps and possible budget shortage due to the above. So Commissioner McLaughlin or
Yes.
Commissioner Van Ness?
So this is all kind of one now because we are having an August primary. That's official. So it is approximately $50,000 to run an election from inspector expense to early voting. And that is an additional site in the city of Glens Falls. And also additional hours on the weekends. We went from 5 hours to 8 hours on both Saturday and Sundays. And transporting the equipment and our per diem staff.
And to continue on, if you recall, back in August of 2021, this board put together a resolution to ask Senator Steck and Assemblyman Simpson to take the early voting center away from the city of Glens Falls with the agreement of, at the time, Mayor Hall, and keep it here at the HSB building that we have. We asked them to do an amendment to the chapter law that was passed. Your resolution asked them to do an amendment. The problem is we had to wait until it became law. And it became law.
12/22.
12/22, it became law. They started working on it, but it hasn't gone anywhere. It hasn't gone through. So the way that the law states is that we have to have a polling location in the largest city within our jurisdiction. That being said, it was planned for places like Troy and Albany and Schenectady that had big cities that they didn't want to put polling locations in. But it just so happened that we fell into it. I know that Senator Steck and Assemblyman Simpson are working on it to move that to maybe a 15,000 population to have an early voting center in the largest city, which would help many North countries. And talking to Senator Steck, there are 11 North countries that have asked for this amendment to do away with the early voting center in the largest city in your municipality. We would stay with this, but having the way the law is now, we have to have HSB and we have to have one in the city of Glens Falls. I will say Mayor Collins has been very upfront and very honest with us. He's in agreement with us 100% that he doesn't think that it's needed at this time, but he understands that we're required by law to have it. And they've worked really well with us, and we're set to go in the June primary and most likely the August primary for early voting days down there.
So, and they're less than 2 weeks from completing their session, I believe, so it doesn't seem likely. So do we have, are you asking for the approval of this particular committee for a financial obligation to do what you have to do by law going forward?
See what we need to do to have money added to our
We're gonna
budget.
have to have the money there to be able to.
And is that the 50,000?
$50,000 would and should cover this extra election. But that's the best we can figure. We looked at the additional hours
If you
and
look at, yeah, this.
yeah, the additional hours and everything else as to what it would cost. It's just the early voting staff alone for all those days is a little over $28,000. We have gone, since I've been there, we have gone to moving the machines ourselves. That went from $6,000 per election. We spend about $1,500 now because we do it by ourselves. And we do it with our per diem staff. So this is not moving the machines or anything. This is just the inspector hours that it's going to cost us adding an additional early voting location. So
Okay, thank you.
$50,000 is going to include the ballot making, the per diem staff, the additional inspectors and techs. In the state, I don't mean to keep interrupting, but the state basically said that on a caucus meeting, that this burden is going to fall on the county. They come right out and said it, and they're right.
Not shocking. Supervisor Conover?
Yeah, I mean, mean, it seems to me that the question becomes, you know, we're gonna need to do budget. Put more money in the budget. And now the question becomes, and we're going to, because we're gonna have to do, we're gonna do this. We have to do what we have to do here relative to the election. So I guess it really comes down to, when do we want to do the amendment and how much is it? So for example, you may have sufficient funds in your budget to take you through the primary season, but it won't take you through the general election. Or you may not have sufficient funds in your budget to take you through the primary season, in which case the amendment is going to need to be more immediate, if you see what I'm saying. So it's, I guess that's the first question. Do you have sufficient dollars in your budget to take you to what point in time, at which point we're going to have an amendment to put enough money in your budget to take you through the rest of the year?
So I would think sooner the better, because like I said, we're running 2 elections simultaneous pretty now. We're going to be certifying June's election. I think it's July 8th, top of my head. and
July
that-
8th.
That following Friday, we have to have absentees out for the August
August.
primary. And then early voting starts August 18th.
18th.
So that's, inspector pay, so that will all, it just kind of runs right into,
Prior to August?
We won't have time to come back here.
Yeah,
It's just
it's, I mean, even,
Okay, so what's how much?
I guess what,
50
50,000 is what
50,000. We
we
did
kind
it
of
as best we
estimated.
could, as close as we could, and we figured if there was a movement of 50,000, if we got to use what we need to use for the inspectors and make the election happen, it'll be used, the rest will be returned. If it doesn't, if we don't need it, it's there. It's just.
All right, Supervisor McGowan.
Yes, thank you. I believe you could quote me, but I told you we'd make you whole. Right? We had this discussion
Yeah.
2 years ago because
We did.
of budget restraints and this and that. So just thank you for letting me, I am not on the committee, but when I was on the committee, I do remember these concerns were coming up, and with these changes constantly, how can you budget? So,
And that, to Supervisor McGowan's point, we couldn't budget for this. This law and all this was passed after our budget was passed and into the first of the year. We heard rumor this was coming, but you can't plan on rumor. And that's,
Do you know which codes you needed into, or just a general transfer? Do you need to know what specific codes you needed in at this stage? I mean, 50,000.
439.
439. You
Right.
need $50,000 in 439. And that's Frank, the question is.
Contingent, that's what it is. That's what it's there for, right?
Okay, then I would make, if I might, Mr.
Well, we need
All
a
right,
resolution.
Supervisor Seaver.
Thank you, Chairman. I just had a quick question. Beth, I think you said it was 50,000 for an election. Is that per site or in total?
In total,
that's in total. Yeah.
For all the sites that we currently have?
yes.
So did you, maybe I just missed the number that it's going up given the additional sites?
That we put in the estimate with the additional Glens Falls site for early voting and the additional hours for the weekends. And then the additional primary for election day and for early voting in August.
And I think Supervisor Seaver, I think one thing that we may not have mentioned, that we should have mentioned, is the increase in the early voting hours was another item that passed after budget passed. So they, not only did they increase the early voting site, they increased the early voting hours. So they went to increase, I forget how many hours they added to the early voting,
32 hours extra.
32 additional hours, and that's 4 inspectors for each site.
Okay, thank you. So are you counting as an election, obviously the primaries, but is early voting being counted as a separate, like the 50 grand for that versus 50 grand for the general, the estimates on?
All
All
inclusive,
inclusive
all inclusive.
for one election.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you're not counting them separate. That's where I was getting confused.
No.
Okay, and Supervisor
Thanks.
Seaver, just FYI, I was reading off the last names of all the supervisors who are present for the purpose.
It's
of
fine, John. Thank you.
There's a quorum. Okay,
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Thomas.
Yeah, this is probably more a statement than a question, but why isn't it in everyone's wisdom, the judges and the legislature, that we can't combine these two primaries and move June's to August? It's not just a matter of the money, it's getting people to come out and vote.
Oh, we know.
No, it's just.
That was discussed. We know, Supervisor Thomas, we know that it was discussed and tossed around at the legislative level. I don't know if it died a quick fire or what happened to it. We were trying, to be honest with you, we were trying to prepare because we weren't sure whether we were going to have all of it in June, if we we're going to end up moving all of it in August, if we we're going to have to redistrict in between. And
Well, before they moved it to June, wasn't it in September anyways?
prior years,
Yes.
primary was
That-
in September.
yes.
Yeah.
The turnaround in absentees, we have to have absentees out 46 days prior to the election. So that's pretty much why they moved September to June.
And as Beth was
So it
saying,
doesn't
we'll be,
overlap.
we'll be certifying the June primary by July 8th. That following Friday, we have to have absentees and militaries out.
The citizens should put together a class action lawsuit against their government because this is just
There is
stupid.
a couple of lawsuits out there.
Yeah, we're an office of 4 people, and I'll tell you, we've had our hands full. I mean, our per diem staff has been fantastic. I can't thank them enough for what they've done, but it's crazy.
Okay,
Speaking of per diem
They
staff,
said it was more statement.
so we have a motion. What? Yeah, Supervisor Conover made a motion. I asked him to hold off. And the motion is to approve the $50,000 additional expenditure to come out of contingency. Did I say everything?
Budget code 439.
Can you say that into the mic, please?
The motion is to allow an extra $50,000 expenditure for the Warren County Board of Elections to cover the costs as described in our conversation. The motion was made by Supervisor Conover, seconded by Supervisor Driscoll.
And the source of funding?
Is contingency. Okay, ready for a vote? Discussion.
The process is extremely important. The credibility, and integrity is very important, and we sometimes there are some legislatures maybe that don't make sense, okay? But the bottom line is we have to adhere to a system. We are mandated by law. We have no choice. And the sooner the better we approve this and let these good folks get on with administering this, we'll all be better off.
Any further discussion? All right, let's bring it to a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. And before you leave, because your work is done with us and we don't have anything else on the agenda, I just want to say for the matter of the record, Commissioner McLaughlin and Commissioner Van Ness, you're doing an excellent job. You've been faced with COVID. You're faced with what we just talked about today, and you're filtering out everything that you need to do to keep this county on the right direction. So I want to thank both of you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just want to make a comment.
To adjourn, made by
Wait, I have a
Supervisor
comment.
Conover.
I have a comment.
Oh, okay.
Per diem staff, we would, I think, again, we'll ask in our budget time to get 2 full-time people in our office. We really need stability of additional full-time help. Thank you.
Just a heads up.
Motion to adjourn by Supervisor Conover, seconded by Supervisor McDivitt. All those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right,
Thank you.
done.
So we're gonna have dinner tonight?
I guess
All
so.
right.